welcome Meka.
I appreciate y'all giving me an opportunity to speak this evening. I appreciate you coming out in what may be yet another snowstorm apparently coming our way. Hopefully not. My name is Meka Childs, and I would like to be the next state superintendent of education. A little bit about myself though before I get to why I'm running. I'm a former teacher, mentor, coach. I coach middle school basketball and some other, coach basketball in some other areas also. I'm a mother. My husband and I, Felix, have a daughter together, my stepdaughter, his daughter, that we're helping to raise out in Richland County. I'm proud of my husband. He's a member of the United States Army Reserve. He's Major Felix Childs. He's very supportive of my candidacy. But what Mr. Connor had to say is very true. People in the military tend to be a little bit hands-off on politics, but he's been really my rock and my stability. I'm proud of what he's been doing in service to our country. I'm from South Carolina, originally born in Saluda County. I come from a long line of farmers, planters, people who worked in the plants and mills, truck drivers here in the Midlands, good hard-working people. I learned the value of a dollar. I learned the importance of working hard from members all across my family. My parents, though, moved us all the way from Saluda County all the way over into Lexington County, along the migratory path. And that's where they raised my brother and me. We watched my parents build a small automotive service in West Columbia, which is where I grew up. I went through Lexington 2 schools. I'm an Airport High School grad. I'm going to say go Eagles, but I'm not sure I'm supposed to actually say that here, here in this building. But I'm an Airport High School grad, and I believe so deeply in the ethics, the virtues that my parents taught me that I actually took them at their word. You see, they taught us that there's nothing wrong with hard work. They taught us that hard work is not oppressive. It's not something we need the federal government to liberate us from. Instead, they taught us that with hard work, perseverance, and a great education, we can take advantage of all that this country has to offer us. And being young and naive, I suppose, I believed it. Leaving Airport High School, I actually went off to Duke University after hard work, perseverance, and having a great educational experience all the way over there in Lexington 2. Went to Duke largely on scholarship, where I earned my bachelor's degree in history. I studied education also. I got my teaching license while I was away at Duke University. Liked it so much up there, I stayed on for graduate school, largely on fellowship, and got my master's degree in public policy. However, after graduating from Duke, I wised up and realized I need to come on back home, get back to good old South Carolina, which is where I've been since. And while I've been home, I've worked in education policy the entire time. I started out as a classroom teacher. I went up to the other side of town, to Richland County, and I worked in Denton Middle School. I was talking to someone earlier, you've got a son working in Richland Northeast. I was right down the street, probably not at the same time, but right down the street working at Denton Middle School as a social studies teacher. I taught 6th grade and I taught 7th grade. I originally wanted to teach high school, but the superintendent of the district talked me into going down to the middle school, and I actually loved every moment of it. Those middle school kids are great. Contrary to what sometimes I hear people saying about middle school kids, they're wonderful. And I learned a lot when I was working with the parents, the teachers, the students in that school, the local leadership. I saw, as a middle school teacher, the impact policies passed at the state level, policies passed at the federal level on the classroom. And the lessons I learned while I was teaching actually stick with me here to this day. They inform policy recommendations that I've been offering up in the other roles that I've followed, that I've had an opportunity to hold since I left the classroom. But I went, as my students said, from the classroom, from the schoolhouse to the state house, as I went from being a middle school teacher to joining Governor Mark Sanford's staff as his education policy advisor. And I served with Governor Sanford, moving to the state level, again having an opportunity to share in the experiences of a classroom teacher while informing policy decisions that were being made at the state level. I left Governor Sanford's staff, however, to move over to the private sector, where I worked in business and industry. I worked with business and industry leaders in helping the legislature understand the impact that decisions we were considering in the South Carolina General Assembly, the impact those decisions might have on workforce and economic development all across our state. While I was in the private sector, I saw the impact of what we're doing in K-12 education on long-term workforce development issues. I saw firsthand that if we are not structuring our education well in K-12, we're going to hamper our state's long-term economic viability. While I was in the private sector, I was also a Senate appointee to the Education Oversight Committee. While serving on the Education Oversight Committee, I had an opportunity to vote on the Common Core State Standards, and I voted against the passage, against the adoption of the Common Core State Standards, because I saw then what we're now grappling with right now, the challenges of federal overreach in education, but also the challenges of making a vast transition when we've got to think very carefully about how we're going to implement something like Common Core State Standards. I left the private sector and I moved back into the public sector where I joined General Mick Zace's staff as his deputy superintendent. So I've worked on General Zace's staff as a member of his senior staff up until January. I left and I had the fine fortune of working with Mr. Dino Tapar for several months, learning a lot from his experiences. But I left General Zace's staff not because Dino joined. I left General Zace's staff so that I could campaign full-time to hopefully become the next state superintendent of education. In all the roles I've had in education, I've learned several things. One, we have too many students who are not graduating high school. I know our teachers are working hard. I know our school leaders are working hard. But we have to look at the product. We have to look at the outcomes of our investment in education. I'm concerned about the students who are not graduating. I'm also concerned about the students who are earning a high school diploma only to find that they lack the skills for even entry-level positions. I mean, some of them are getting to work and realizing, hey, you got to show up on time. I think maybe we ought to learn that before we leave high school. We've got too many kids who, and I call them kids, I know they're young adults, but we have too many young adults who graduate that high school diploma and get into college only to find that they're having to spend thousands of dollars and semesters taking remedial courses that don't count towards their college degree. These things are wrong, and I want to fix them. I want to make sure, and this is why I'm running, I want to make sure that every student, every child who graduates from one of our high schools with a diploma is ready for work or college and ready for citizenship. And when I say college, I don't mean necessarily a 4-year bachelor's degree, some training past high school, an associate's degree, or a 4-year degree. But we need to make sure that they are truly ready for work or college and ready for citizenship. The way I want to do that is this. I want to focus on 5 things. Some of you have my palm card. I guess it's the teacher in me. I have it spelled out right here so you can follow along. I will not give you a test. Can I give a test? Okay, I won't give you a test here. There are 5 things, 5 areas where I want to focus. I want to make sure we have true accountability to students. We get so distracted and focus on all these other things. We need to focus on being accountable to students and making sure that before we're moving them along in grades, that they are truly mastering the content and are ready to advance. I also want to make sure that the Department of Education, we're good stewards over taxpayer resources, because at my heart, at my core, I'm a fiscal conservative, and I think that applies to even education. The second thing I want to do is make sure we're doing all we can to individualize learning. You see, the traditional school to which our kids are zoned may work for many of our kids, but we've got to be open-minded to allowing parents to make choices. It may be that a parent wants to place their child in a private school or move them over to a charter school or an magnet school program. Some of our parents will want to homeschool students. We need to support parents in making the choices that are best for their child, because they know better than we do in Columbia over there in that Rutledge building what their children need. So not only do I support individualizing learning, I also support allowing money to follow the child to the learning environment they're going to, because I don't believe that financial barriers should prevent a child from having access to the quality of education that they need. So we need to promote educational freedom, which is why I want to individualize learning. I also want to make sure that we are protecting the powers enumerated to our state by eliminating federal overreach in education. And the reason why I believe in this is because, well, you know, I've read the Constitution. I looked at it on the internet. I hit that Control F thing, and I looked for education. Is it in the Constitution anywhere? In fact, if you read the 10th Amendment, it's pretty clear that anything that's not enumerated to the federal government belongs where?
States.
With states. And what I'm seeing is a growing appetite to micromanage what's happening in our schools. We talk about Common Core, but y'all, that's not the first instance where there's been federal overreach in the education. So I want to make sure we're truly protecting the powers that are enumerated to our state by eliminating federal overreach. The fourth thing I want to do is I want to make sure that we are attracting the very best teachers we can to the profession. Teaching is an honorable profession. And I know I'm biased because I used to teach, but it's an honorable profession. It should be esteemed. We should try to attract and retain the very best teachers to the profession. And those who aren't doing well, we may need to do all we can to support them, but if they aren't getting it done, we may need to counsel them into other professions. The fifth thing that some of y'all are picking up on this, the fifth thing I want to do is this. I want to improve opportunity by reinvigorating community involvement. The reason I think that's important is our schools are facing challenges that they cannot solve on their own. Now, yes, we need to hold schools accountable. Yes, we need to hold teachers accountable. But there are some challenges that our schools are facing that they're going to need communities to be engaged in helping them solve. So whether it be working with faith-based organizations, civic groups, we need to make sure we as communities are supporting our schools so that our children are receiving the high-quality education that they deserve. And I believe that by working on these 5 things, we can ensure that every child who gets a diploma in South Carolina is ready for work or college and ready for citizenship. My name is Meka Childs, and I would like to be the next state superintendent of education. Some of you have my palm card. I would like for you to do all you can to support my candidacy. Go to our website. You can sign up and volunteer. We also have sign-up sheets that my campaign manager May is handing around. Anything you can do to support my campaign, I'd appreciate. Like Mr. Connor here, if you'd like to make an investment in my campaign, I will also accept those. Something else I'm doing that we're proud of. Last week we launched the first of what we're calling a 10 in 10 series. 1 issue each week for 10 weeks. We're on week 2. The first week we looked at soft skills for hard work. This week we're looking at common sense for your dollars and cents. I would love for you to follow us, look at what we're saying. I'd like to get your input on ways that schools are doing a good job spending money effectively, but I also like to hear from you on ways in which you see waste or misuse of funds so that we can be as informed as possible and engage in this discussion about how we're using our taxpayer resources in our schools. Again, my name is Meka Childs. I'd love to have your support. Thank you.